So, hello Mr. Verhaeghe, you just participated to the Schiller-Instituts conference. So you brought a very important fact for the political struggle in Europe and in France in particular, that the French and British banks are bigger than the United States and Chinese banks, contrary to the myth going on. So it's a very important for the political struggle, this fact.
Yes, but I think that everybody knows that indeed by market capitalization, the France and UK banks are less important than China's and American banks. But if you refer to the ranking by assets and by asset size, you point out that it's true. French and British banks are bigger, are more important than American banks and then Chinese banks. And this is not a problem. The problem, or the important consideration, is that by the assets, French and British banks have a balance sheet more important than the gross national product or gross domestic product than France and Great Britain, for example. And it's important to remember that the American gross domestic product is less important than the amount of balance sheet of French and British banks. In other words, it means that French and British financial industry are more important than the United States politically and have more interest to protect in financial banking and insurance system in the world than the United States policy itself.
But so they are the first exposed to a collapse of the system, and that's why they are struggling so hard with the Obama administration to continue the bailouts of the system and prevent what is debated now in the US of the return of the Glass-Steagall policy of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. What do you think of the Glass-Steagall policy?
I think it's necessary today to have a Glass-Steagall Act everywhere in the world, not only for financial reasons. Financial reasons are important because we have to prevent a new crisis, and we know that if we don't have a new Glass-Steagall Act, we will have a new financial crisis, a new bank run everywhere in the world, because the volatility of the market is too important with a financial bubble like the one we know today. And the consequences of the financial crisis is very, very dangerous for the people when they intervene. But there is also a political reason to have a Glass-Steagall Act, a new Glass-Steagall Act everywhere in the world. Why? Because if we don't have this Glass-Steagall, we accept a situation when the banking system is more powerful than the state and than the citizens. So it's a democratical reason to accept and to pass a new Glass-Steagall Act. It's a way to protect people, to protect citizens against an elite, against an oligarchy.
Yeah, because that's the point in fact, is that this financial power represents the power of an oligarchical rule which impacts every aspect of the daily life of the citizen. So as a conclusion, what would you say to the people in France, in Europe and in the world, what they should do right now to bring this change?
At first, they have to be self-confident in our history and in the world history. The truth and the happiness in the countries of the world are always based upon people's will, upon citizen will, and we are able to free ourselves, and we have to be self-confident in this destiny, in this history. And secondly, they have to be very aware about the problem of a new financial crisis, and they must look on each of these problems very, very, very quietly, and they have to read every day the good articles about this question and to point out the reality. And they will see that there is no obligated future about that. We are free to change the things, and we are free to create a new reality.
Mr. Verhaeghe, thank you.
You're welcome.
you.